Greetings from Industrial Safety Solutions, makers of the SafetyPro line of printers and supplies. In this video, we're going to look at common problems that you might run into with the vinyl and how you can troubleshoot those. We're going to look at 3 of the most common issues, mostly related to supply loading. To start, I'll go ahead and send a print job to the printer. And you can see that the printer has attempted to print. A small amount of vinyl has come out the front, but has given us an error, and it stopped with a red blinking light on top of the printer. So the first thing we want to do anytime you run into a red blinking light is turn the power off in the back of the printer. We're going to go ahead and open up the printer and see what went wrong. The first thing that I see in here is that a small amount of text was printed, so we know that the ribbon is loaded properly, it's pointed in the right direction. But looking up the line here, I can see immediately that my guides aren't over the edge of my vinyl. This guide on the right hand side has an arrow on top with 2 screws. This guide has a material sensor in it. If the vinyl isn't passing under that guide, then the error that you're going to get, the red blinking light, indicates that no supplies are loaded. The solution to this problem is very simple. These 2 guides slide in and out. I'll slide them out so you can see, to accommodate the different types of vinyl. So the solution is just to simply slide those guides in so that the vinyl is passing under this sensor. You don't want to make them too tight. You want them to be loose enough so that the vinyl moves freely, but they should be tight enough so that the vinyl is passing under there. So let's go ahead and close it back up, turn it back on, and we will do another test print. Alright, and that worked. Let's start out looking at this issue with a successful test print. Okay, that printed fine. Now let's say after a print job, you open up your printer and you want to check on your supplies and you make adjustments, and then you close up your printer. You get the green light and you go to print again. Now in this case, you see the printer, it looks like it should have printed. You had the green light, you had things moving in the printer. Now if you were watching carefully, you would have seen the ribbon winding. However, nothing came out. So let's open up the printer and take a look at the problem. The problem in this particular case with our supply loading is that the vinyl is not advanced forward to the gray platen. See, this gray platen is where the print job starts. This is where the print head presses against the vinyl. If you print but you don't have your vinyl up to this platen, should be at least at the top middle. Preferably when you first load a roll, it should be advanced past the platen. And if you don't have it like that, your print job will continue on, but it won't print anything because it's not advancing the vinyl. For this last complication that you may encounter with loading your SafetyPro vinyl properly, I'm going to go ahead and describe the issue and how it happens and where you might encounter it. This last issue has to do with the green supply spindle that the vinyl loads onto. You see that this spindle shifts with what we call wings, and you'll see in this latest version of the spindle that those wings, they slide freely on that spindle. Okay, now on some earlier versions of the spindle, it was notched so that these wings clicked down into place, almost like a zip tie, so that when they were pressed in, they were more difficult to take off. They were a little more firm. This caused problems because what people would do is that they would place their material on the roll and they would clamp those wings down on the material so tightly that the material wouldn't unwind. And the problem that we ran into with that is that the SafetyPro is equipped with several tension sensors, primarily in the ribbon assembly, that sense the tension of this material moving through the printer. So when it ran into that heavy tension, you'd get the red blinking light. What we've done to correct that is we've removed those notches. So if you have a printer that has notches on that core, make sure that when you put your material onto this spindle, that you put these wings on either not at all or loosely. The material can be loaded without the wings. It is self-centering thanks to the 2 green guides. But if you do put the wings on, just make sure that they're not clamped down tightly so that you can avoid loading errors with your vinyl. So for a quick recap, let's look at these 3 issues you may run into with supply loading for your vinyl on your SafetyPro printer. First, you want to make sure that your vinyl is loaded on this green spindle and that these wings are not pressed on tightly. That'll help you avoid any tension errors. Second, you want to make sure that these 2 green guides are pressed in so that the vinyl is passing underneath the right-hand guide, which has 2 screws and an arrow, so that the vinyl would be properly detected by the material sensor. And last, you want to make sure that the vinyl is advanced forward enough so that it is over this gray rubber platen. If you do those 3 things, you'll be sure to have a successful print job with your SafetyPro vinyl.